Good evening, friends. It's Thursday evening, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central, where I am. And you know what that means? It's time for your favorite.
It means it's 6 o'clock Mountain.
It is. It's 6 o'clock Mountain. How could I ever forget your time zone? Most people do, if we're being honest here. So, good evening, everybody. Dan, nice of you to join us.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. You didn't miss anything at all other than I forgot about Mountain Time like everyone else does. So, you know, what is there a cartoon going on in the background?
No, I'm going to send a mute so you guys can talk amongst yourselves.
We'll talk amongst ourselves and have some coffee as we do this evening, at least for me. Because I have to tell you, I was dragging here the last couple of hours today. I don't know how you're all feeling. What's your beverages tonight?
I'm drinking Coke with a shot of some local bourbon in it.
Local bourbon? Is that
High West?
High West. That's good bourbon, though. High West is definitely approved. I like that. And what's going on in the Northeast in Massachusetts, Dan? You having one of your local IPAs?
I am. Shout out Treehouse Brewing in Charlton / whatever it is, Sturbridge, Massachusetts. Shout out Industrial Arts, great New York product, now available in the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. New Park Brewing, we got it all. We're good. We're ready for a nice little chat here tonight.
So there's a lot. What's that?
Are you? I know we were talking about the vaccine with Putin, but are you trying to turn into Gorbachev over there?
You know, I was explaining this before that with the green screen, if I'm getting a sun glare, which I am right now through one of my windows on top of the door to the house doesn't have a covering. It just makes things happen.
It looks like you got melanoma.
A melanoma. And so deal with it. I don't know what to tell you. It's 7 o'clock here, bright sunshine this time of year, right?
It is kind of hilarious that it looks like you have a hole in your head.
It does. It looks like a legitimate crater. It really does. So now, I mean, look, our listeners, our watchers are so classy. Apparently Ryan is going to ditch us soon because he's got some pickup situation going on. So I don't know why. I mean, really?
Is Swinton talking about my
I tested
your shades? He's outside. He's
well,
outside.
I'm outside, and I've got a Tom Hanks in Philadelphia lesion on my eye here.
So that is an actual problem. Mine is just a technical glitch, and you actually have a lesion.
I do. I've got to do the camera here. It's recurring, but
oh my god.
Yeah. Oh no, it is this eye. Sorry, I'm all backwards here.
Jesus. All right, we'll have to use that one day. Well, we're off to a rockin' start here. I thought about doing this outside today. I was like, you know what? Instead of sitting at the table in my living room, why not just go outside and do the show? And then I realized it was 150,000 degrees, and there was no fucking way I would have lasted 5 minutes. There's no way.
That's what she said.
My porch is covered, so I found a little patch of shade here. So
it's a beautiful day here in New England. Humidity finally broke, so
the good news is today. This is the last week of this weather for me, and the last week in Texas, because a week from today I will be heading back north to the Mid-Atlantic for we'll see how long, if I go from there or if I stay there or I head further north. But long story short, I won't have to deal with this anymore, and that's a wonderful thing.
You're going to get humidity back, though. You got to be ready for that shit.
I know. Well, I mean, yeah. And listen, I'm not a fan of winter, but I could do a couple months. We'll be all right.
Well,
I'll survive.
I mean, this is good news for you, but bad news for Dan. Dan, in New England, you're only a couple weeks away from pumpkin patch season. So
he's a couple weeks away from his first frost.
Yeah. Leaf peepers are going to start showing up.
I know. Now they got nowhere to go and no college football on Saturdays. It's going to be pumpkin patch every day.
Yeah, I know. You're going to have people like Jason up there, pumpkin.
I know with their lattes. I tell you, I go to the liquor store. They already got pumpkin. I love Southern Tier.
That's good stuff.
Man. It's
the pumpkin's good.
What is this?
But it's way too hot.
It's August 13th.
It's way
Come
too
on,
hot.
no pumpkin.
I saw a Halloween store open already.
Okay, I'm hoping, and I do not know Diamond Dan's opinion on this, but I'm hoping he'll back me up here. You're from the Empire State. If it's autumn, eat a goddamn apple. Go apple.
I don't like
picking.
apples. You know I don't like apples.
Have an apple cider donut. Have some hard cider.
The apple cider donuts are good.
Yeah. You grew up next to the oldest damn apple orchard on the planet. Just eat a fucking apple.
I like pumpkins.
Ryan Steele with the
I
comment.
like pumpkins. You like apples.
Right. The basic bitches already want their PSLs.
Oh,
we're not talking about seat licenses.
I do love fall though. Like this is perfect to move back up north, and just in time for fall because it doesn't exist here. There's no fall.
I mean, when you won't be able to leave the house you're in, so you should hopefully be near some trees. You know, because there you go. There's your PSL right there. I bet that's a pumpkin spice latte.
No, it's a
extra side of man.
It's a venti pike with heavy
cream of some young guy.
You love fall because you don't own a house and you have to rake the goddamn leaves.
The crisp, the October air, the first crisp evening. It's just really nice. Really nice. Get a fleece on or a sweater vest. I love the sweater vests. The show is already on the start. So let's go one place first. Let's start with the negative, and we can work our way up to all the good news from this week. And there was a lot, but the college football, you touched on it. Do you think? Let's just say, do you think the right call is being made, or do you think the right call for the right reasons, the wrong call for the wrong reasons? What's your take?
Me?
Yes.
I mean,
looking at you, you're the biggest college football fan here. Looking at you.
You know, it's a tough call to make, and I mean, there's a lot of money at stake. You know, the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big, whatever it is, the Pac-12. You know, these guys have money on the line, and they're willing to, I guess, eat it and wait until, wait until spring. I don't know. What's interesting to me is that the SEC, which is really like an NFL developmental league, has not yet made a decision one way or another on whether or not they're going to play this year, or if they're willing to let other teams into the conference. So, I mean, theoretically, if the SEC, which is, the reason why Saturday – I mean, they have a very lucrative deal with CBS, right? And, then you've got ESPN and ABC is on the outside. NBC has Notre Dame. If you let another school like Ohio State, Michigan, Big Ten schools into the SEC for this year, I mean, the money, I'm sure there are old white dudes sitting around a table somewhere trying to make a deal right now, but I don't know if that's even feasible.
But that's exactly it. Someone's going to play.
Yeah, I think based on what we know now, I think the SEC probably does play this year, and you have and to be honest, like you're going to get LSU, your Alabama, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Who else? University of South Carolina. Like you're going to get teams that people want to watch anyway that are not like crazy alumni boosters.
And so say they play. You better believe that. And money, right? Money. It's all about money. That if another school wants in the conference for the year, they're going to let them in. There's millions of dollars at play. So if Ohio State is like, let us play, you don't think they're going to let them play?
Well,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you mentioned money. Living out in the Pac-12, it's an absolute crusher here. In Salt Lake City, the fans are one thing, but looking at the local economy, especially in a year like this year where Utah gets an extra home game, the millions of dollars that the city's losing in revenue, that the schools are losing in revenue, not to mention that no matter what, Kyle Whittingham, the coach of the Utah Utes, is the highest paid government employee in the state of Utah.
That's wild.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you can say that for how many states, though?
Well, true, but this is a small state in a somewhat big school. You have, arguably the smallest of the big conferences. These aren't, very big market teams, or bigger teams, and they're getting clobbered. The SEC, it'll never happen. It's pure religion out there. As much as Notre Dame is God's university, football is God to some of these southern schools.
And don't let it fool you. The schools are talking about, we're not going to play as players' health, kids' health. I firmly believe that's not why they're canceling the season. They're doing it because they're worried about being sued. It's all about the bottom line and the money. They couldn't give a shit about the players. And
the problem is you've had all of these sports now, right? You've had baseball, basketball, bubble, blah, blah, blah. No one has played football yet, right? So no one's tested what happens, when you put, 80 guys together and they hit each other. And, I know Oakley has developed technology that, has a spit shield that goes beyond just the eye shield. And, you're talking about guys. I mean, the purpose of football is you have to hit each other, right? You have to touch another person. That's how it is. So if there were somebody that went ahead and, I guess you could take like European soccer as an example, but it's still not the same. And all while this is going on, you have The Rock and his investors buying the XFL so that if the college football community does vacate Saturdays, there's a potential that these guys would play on Saturday. And the NFL is also exploring the possibility of playing on Saturdays, which would be fucking outrageous.
And they'll never give it back. It opens up a whole. But
you realize that you live in Texas. I mean, it fucks with the whole cadence of football. That is, like Matt just said, a religion to some people. Where you have high school on Friday night, college on Saturday, and the Pro Bowl on Sunday, right? And it's pop, pop, pop. And it's built that way. It's built, since at least we've been alive. It's built that way.
To your point about like Texas and high schools, look at the shit we grew up in. Don Bosco probably being an exception compared to where Jason and I went to high school. We're lucky we didn't play on concrete, but look at the high school behind Jason. Look at those stadiums these kids are playing in compared to other parts of the country where football is just another sport. It is literally like Varsity Blues or Friday Night Lights. It is the real deal. And it would be a seismic blow to get rid of football in really the southern half of the country.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting point. I mean, what's going on with college football, or rather high school football in Texas?
Yeah, I wish I'd pay attention to local things. I probably should pay attention. But to your point, let's talk about how football hasn't been tested yet, because it applies to college and the NFL. And Rudy just brought up a good point about the spread of the virus. So you can already see what's going on in baseball, a non-bubbled sport. You have professional athletes that are going outside the protocols, breaking out of their hotels to go hang out with God knows who, and you have teams that have been infected. You're going to trust college kids to follow any kind of health special protocol to try to stay healthy and travel to these games? I think the NFL is going to be a shit show, let alone college football. Look at the bubble sport. If you can't bubble, there's an inherent risk of just disaster.
But I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say that aside from the Cardinals, right, since the Marlins scare, baseball hasn't had an issue in a week and a half.
But they're learning the hard way, and maybe they needed that to happen right away. But the two Cleveland Indians broke out of the hotel last week, and one lied about it for a couple of days before he had to backtrack. I mean, it's happening.
The professional athletes are lying. What do you think college kids who are like these kids? You have to. I mean, I don't really know it that well, but I mean, you have to imagine that these kids have been conditioned, right, to go into a D1 school, play football on Saturdays, get on NBC, get on CBS. And I mean, you're taking away, now you're going to have to talk about years of eligibility, and you're going to have to talk about, draft classes and this and that. So I don't know. I mean, I think the kids want to play.
They do. I keep seeing they want to play. I don't know what the right. If you're not canceling it for the health of the players, then you should be playing.
If you're at a D1 school and you're a college football player, after any game, let alone a homecoming game or the fucking Iron Bowl or something of significance, where are you going? You're going to some cheerleader's house or some sorority party, and you're not studying the plays for next week.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting about this, of course, too, is that none of this has been canceled, right? We're talking about playing in the spring. So if you're talking about college football playing in the spring post Super Bowl, if it were to happen, you're bumping into spring training, you're bumping into baseball. Temperatures are different. It's not the same, right? I don't know. I think it's like a mechanism to say, well, fuck it, we're just going to blow the year away. But again, you have to talk about eligibility for these kids because it's not going to be like a Danny Werfel situation where he had he comes back. Who was the kid from Florida State? It wasn't Werfel, but it was somebody else who came back at 25 years old because he had a year left of eligibility and could play quarterback for one more year.
Yeah. Why would these kids play in the spring?
Trivia question for the comments section. Somebody figure that out.
Danny Werfel, geez. I mean, you go pull out some names.
You know what I mean? They brought a quarterback who was 27, 28 years old because he had eligibility. So you're going to lose. So talk about the NFL, right? So let's say that college football doesn't play this year, whether it be in the fall or the spring. You're losing. There's an entire draft class there that's just lost an entire year of playing football. So
we haven't answered that question. It's actually Paul Blake.
Where?
The guy with the eligibility. It's Paul Blake.
Okay. I didn't know we had a research department. We got a stat boy in the back.
It was.
You put your kids to work.
It was the Fighting Armadillos.
The Fighting Armadillos. I mean, I think it's a legitimate question, though, right?
So,
think about it. Hold on. Yeah. Think about it. The NFL draft, right, was supposed to be in Vegas this year, and it got postponed. And they did it in fucking Goodell's basement. And it was the Joe Burrow
on chain codes.
Right. So if you go into next year without a national title game, without a season, without a bowl scenario, nobody is going to be familiar with the players, right? I mean, think about Joe Burrow is living a life right now, aside from ending up in Cincinnati, because of that run up to the national title game with Coach O. And I mean, you can bet your ass that Ed Orgeron wants to fucking play football, and he will do everything he can to. And as a defending national champion in the SEC, will do everything they can to make sure that this football season happens for the SEC. Because I mean, think about what was it? 30 some odd players went in the first two rounds from the SEC. It's fucking preposterous. So I mean, the SEC is already the NFL developmental league. This is the beginning of the end of the NCAA. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to talk about hypotheticals. I would love to. I think we could make a whole show out of it. But at the same time, if the SEC plays, I think everyone will be happy because nobody's tuning in to watch Rutgers fucking lose to Ohio State.
All right, I wish I could. I just sorry I have to interrupt. One of our fans are watching the show on their 70-inch TV on their living room. like I just said.
How big are my chins?
You have 7. I'm kidding. This is great. It was the best thing ever. Our fat faces are on this living room TV. I really look like I do have a hole in my head. Oh my god.
We told you that last week.
So okay, college. Let's full circle here. Let's get your opinion. Is there going to be a conference or two that plays? And then what's the ramifications with that, Dan?
I think the SEC does play this year, and the NFL draft becomes and the SEC becomes the NFL developmental league once and for all.
It might change college football landscape for a long time.
Swindle's funny, man. That's a funny guy.
65 won't do it. It's got to be a 70. Matt, what do you think for the college football?
I hate to agree with Swintle right now because he kind of touched on this a little bit. SEC, ACC, and most importantly, for any true college football fan out there, the Fighting Irish and Notre Dame will play. Tradition will not end this year.
Oh, they're going to play.
Right.
They're going to play.
I mean, if they have to drag Rudy's ass out there, they're going to play.
Right. And Stevie says, the NFL draft picks the upcoming year aren't as valuable as they normally would be, which is true. But, I mean, think about, again, the SEC, if they play, that their value, of a middling quarterback. I don't even know who Alabama's quarterback is now that they're all gone. Their value is going to go up because no one else is playing unless you want to. It's going to be like the NBA draft taking kids from fucking Europe. Or you have college kids that leave school and go play in the XFL. Or the
XFL could. You joke. I think you are serious. You think you are serious because they could get good talent.
If you could draft out of the XFL the same way that you can draft eligible players from the NCAA,
genius.
They could become walk-ons.
But this is what I'm talking about in terms of the shift away from finally college football moving away from the model that they're on now into an NFL developmental league.
And that's the way it should be. That would be tremendous.
Get fucking Saban on the phone.
That would be absolutely tremendous. Saban should be the commissioner of that whatever you want to call it.
NFL Saban should be the coach of the New York Football Giants.
Well, that too. Put the Rock in put the Rock in charge of this college developmental NFL thing. Just give it all to him. Let the Rock run it.
I mean, there's something to be if they're serious about it. I think that they should make a deal with the NFL.
Yeah.
And say, we will not play at the same time as you, and we're not going to shit on. It's the same thing they had before, where they play. The XFL this season was very popular. They played in smaller stadiums. Did not start until after the Super Bowl. And if you make it developmental, it becomes an entirely new thing. And it takes that will ruin mid-majors. That will the Mountain West and smaller D1 conferences. It will destroy them.
But Rudy, that's the great point that Rudy's making because they don't get paid, and this is part of the.
And they can't unionize.
Right.
Yeah. I have been to a Mountain West football game, into a Mountain West football stadium, Utah State University. It really is just like a glorified high school stadium and a glorified high school team.
And that's Division I, right?
Yeah. And, Rice-Eccles Stadium being the smallest in the pack, still professional atmosphere. I mean, nothing. It's apples and oranges. So yeah, I agree with you. These mid-level conferences, I don't know how they're surviving. And the XFL has a golden opportunity to capture that thirst, that depression that sits in the Monday after Super Bowl Sunday, when everybody's like, "Oh fuck, the Patriots won for the 25th time," and now we've got no football for not this year. No. Shit, the Bucks won. What are we gonna do? And we have no football for 8 months.
Well, I see Rudy's other point about Trevor Lawrence, being number one. I mean, he would be number one this year if he had, beaten Joe Burrow. And hi, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
Yeah. So after Trevor Lawrence, who's going to be next? Can you here? You want to listen to these guys? Here you go. You can listen to these jokes.
Andrew, are the Pats going to tank for Trevor Lawrence?
Can you hear them?
Yeah.
Even Andrew knows the genius that is Belichick. Everybody knows Belichick's crazy ways.
Yep. You know what? One time when I was going to Gillette, I dressed up as Belichick. Remember that time, Dad?
Did you wear a Jets jersey?
I didn't wear a jersey. I wore a sweatshirt.
You know what?
And what did you do with the sleeves?
I cut the sleeves off.
That's awesome.
He's way too happy of a kid to be anything like Bill Belichick. Okay,
I can't hold this anymore.
It just can't happen. Bye. Have a good night, Andrew.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Now we can both be on.
More to come. We'll see what happens with college football. We will watch the developing situation closely. Moving on to some pretty awesome news this week. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe it. So the Rangers, our New York Rangers, have won the draft lottery to select number 1 in this year's draft. Let me just ask you, first of all, do you think it was rigged, and do you care, Matt?
I could care less.
I could care less.
I could care less, but I do think it might have.
The ball might have
the guy did drop the ball.
It sucked itself into the machine, and so I don't know what happened.
It looked almost like the Maple Leafs ball was a little bit too big. Like, the cue ball is a little bit smaller than all the other balls on the pool table.
The Maple Leafs had a rough week. They lose, and then their ball knocks the Rangers' ball up into the the winning position.
They knocked it into the tube.
Maybe.
So Rangers will take that number 1 pick. They're not going to trade it. They're not going to do anything funky with it. Alexis Lafreniere will figure it out eventually. Is the consensus number 1 pick? Gives them Alexis. It's Alexis.
Everybody
I know that.
Alexei.
He's not Russian. He's French Canadian.
You don't pronounce the S in French.
You don't pronounce the S in Russian. I don't know. Anyway, it's the last name I can't get right. This is going to be a hell of an offseason. Rangers had the number 2 pick last year, the number 1 pick this year. There is an embarrassment of riches of wingers and prospects on this team. I don't know. Well, they need to trade for a center, right? They're going to have to get a center because they have 8,000 wingers. So I'll ask you this. If you were to say of the forwards on the Rangers that probably might get moved, that have value, I was going to say, as much as I didn't think going into it, but I think Buchnevich is probably a guy that's on the teetering block.
Pack your shit.
Pack your shit. I think Buchnevich ends up being packaged and may come back for a center or something.
Put him in with Trouba and get him the fuck off this team.
Well, Trouba's not going anywhere.
I say you send him with the other guy from the Gulag. What's his name? Georgiev.
There's some options. I think they may be separate because if you're looking for centers, you could go to Tampa. They're in salary cap hell. They have talent. You could go to Toronto or Edmonton, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with Edmonton, or Eichel in Buffalo. You got a lot of options.
I'm sick of dealing with Tampa.
They are in salary cap hell. They have got to make moves.
That's great. Let it be there.
Or you could offer sheet. I was reading all it. You could offer sheet one of their restricted free agents and totally screw them. Because they almost did it last year with Braden Point.
That works great for us with Joe Sakic.
That's what you should do. That was like 1995.
1997.
I like that move. I like being ballsy. I would do it. I would freaking do it. I would totally try to offer sheet someone.
Why go to Tampa? Why?
Because if you're offer sheeting a team that's in salary cap hell, or else they're going to match. So Tampa can't.
Who do you want back? Who do you want back?
They've
McDonough?
No, what? They have. Oh crap!
I agree with Dan. Go after Jack Eichel. He's young.
I know. I love the Eichel move because it's going to be a trade. You're giving up.
What?
You have parts.
You do, and the thing is, you can trade that second pick in the first round. That's going to be around 20th, and along with some other assets.
First round pick, Buchnevich, Georgiev. You let Hank play out his contract, retire as a Ranger.
I want him. So Hank needs to retire right now. I'll save $8 million for next year.
Okay, but you know what? Listen, I know that you think all these shekels are coming out of your Citibank account, but they're not.
No. You convince him to retire, and then you pay him $8 million as a VP.
Okay, but also, the Giants did it right with Eli. Okay, they let him teach the kid. They let him nurture him. And this is going to be Danny Dimes' team.
But if you want to make the moves and get your center, you're running into money issues with Hank.
But you have but then you have a great backup. You have a great tandem. If this kid gets into another friggin' car accident in Brighton Beach, then you've got a great number one.
I'm just glad he wears the seatbelt.
So the Giants really are Saquon's team, right? Right now.
Yeah.
So then why couldn't you make it like, a defender or a wingers team?
Oh, no. This team is Mika Zibanejad's team. And maybe
no, bullshit. It's
Chris Kreider.
It's Chris Kreider's team. Absolutely.
It's like
if they didn't pay him, when they paid him, they should have given him the C. Right, Matt?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't disagree.
If you want to get out the glow sticks and start techno to German music with Mika, knock yourself out. This is a northeastern, gritty, flick your cigarette butts on the floor of the bar, beer and whiskey shot team.
No, it's good because with that style, a guy like Mika needs space, gets his space because the other guys are playing to give him space, right?
Mika and the bread man are the guys that go out and get the coke and the broads for after the game.
Yeah.
From the shady part of town.
They didn't, and there were no coke or broads during the.
Well, it was the bubble. They couldn't get any into the bubble because the NHL bubble is legitimate, unlike some other sports. Like
they don't have cocaine in Toronto.
Fucking nonsense. Where the fuck?
They got other things in Toronto. Dan.
They were all drinking that hooch.
What do I know about it? I don't know anything.
You don't know anything. We've never been to Toronto. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so we'll see what happens in the offseason, but it's going to be a pretty wild one, I would think. I don't even know what the draft is. I don't know, October? I think they're holding it in October. Sure.
Well, I don't even know when free agency is because the Stanley Cup will be in like November.
Next season's not going to start until like February.
Hey.
Yo.
I'll be right back. Hold on.
Okay. Dan got the plug down there.
This is a very sophisticated operation.
I'll throw you one option for the Rangers because the thing is
it Jack Eichel? Because that's the only one.
No, the goaltending real quick because you're gonna hate this, but Lundqvist retires, right? Let's say he retires. I don't want to buy him out. That doesn't make any sense. You're paying like $5 million next year instead of $8 million. You have to pay Georgiev like $1.5 million. So that's like a wash.
You think that Hank is going to retire without?
No, they're going to pay him off the side as an executive. Let's say Hank retires. I still want to trade Georgiev. I want to get value for him, and he's going to be an expensive backup. So they can get a backup for a year. There's another prospect, Tyler Wall, who's going to be fantastic, and Ben Lair is the goalie whisperer. So you don't need Georgiev. So I want Lundqvist to retire. I want Georgiev still to be traded, and I want the Rangers to either go with a Tyler Wall or veteran backup for a year.
There is a rumor. My sources at Bleacher Report today were telling me that Frölunda is very tight-lipped about rumors that Hank is talking about going back there to finish his career in Frölunda. And for those of you not familiar, Frölunda is Hank's original team in Sweden. I believe Joel, his identical twin brother, is the captain of that team.
Yes. If he's still playing, but I know he was. So
he is still playing.
I could see that. I could see Hank play a year or two in Sweden and knock it out and just get paid there / whatever the Rangers want to pay him off the books.
But he would have to make a decision very quickly because their season starts much sooner. Like it lines up with the traditional NHL schedule.
And that's why it almost makes sense for him. I feel like he may just want to get back on and start playing and not wait till January. And who knows what happens then, or who knows what kind of season they have next year. We don't know. There's a lot of unknowns.
But there will be a season next year.
Let's not get all depressing. Can we just stay positive? Just stay positive, right? The NHL playoffs have been fantastic. The NHL playoffs,
except for last weekend.
But the games and quality and intense nature of playoffs, they're still the way they are without fans. They're still doing it. You got to give a lot of credit to these teams in a really bizarre situation. They're going out and playing some awesome hockey. 5 overtime game with the Lightning beating the Blue Jackets on Tuesday. So
and then the Bruins had to get pushed. The Bruins and the Kings had to get pushed to 11 o'clock yesterday morning, and they went double overtime too, right?
Right? Yep. They went double overtime. So I love this stuff. These long overtime games, this is what makes hockey so great in the playoffs. I love them. I think you guys feel the same about this, right? Like 4 or 5 overtime hockey games. This is amazing. Is it not?
Like I said, I live in Boston or outside of Boston, and yesterday, snuck in some golf, and there was a guy that pulled up. I was about to go on the first tee. fourth tee is very close. These two bros roll up, and they're listening to the game in their cart at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, I respect the shit out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're listening to hockey in this because, I mean, you can squeeze in both golf on a beautiful hot day here in New England and listen to hockey. It's like a wet dream for these guys.
Right.
We're getting what we want now, and you have to appreciate that.
And the games have been really good, and I just want to show you. I'm going to do a new segment on this show here tonight, and I'm just getting it set up here, so bear with me. But it's going to be called the Bonehead of the Week, right?
Well, while you're setting that up, just real quick, the Golden Knights just beat the Blackhawks in overtime. They're up 2-0.
Another overtime game. Oh, just fantastic. Blackhawks making it past the qualifying round was wild. They're not good.
The Blue Jackets got revenge on the Lightning after the 175 shot game. They won 3-1. So John Cooper can wipe the shit off his hands and wipe the smile off his face. They are now knotted up, and hopefully John Tortorella does his thing and gets the Lightning back home to Tampa. So score in the Bruins Hurricanes.
Our inaugural Bonehead of the Week is Mike Milbury.
Can't even read that.
None other than Mike Milbury. I don't know. I'll read it to you.
Zoom in on that, Jason.
I'm going to try.
Hold on. Let me see if these are prescription. Let me see if I can read that.
Just bear with me.
I can't see that.
I know. I don't know. We're trying to be all here.
Not all of us are still in our 30s. Is
that better?
Yeah.
So Mike Milbury tweets out after the 5 overtime game on another worldly night. The Space Needle is an appropriate backdrop. By the way, he's in fucking Toronto. Okay, that's not the Space Needle.
That's the CN
Tower. Insane Columbus Tampa Bay game. God bless both teams for a great effort. Enough though. I believe we should end these games sooner via 3-on-3 or a shootout after a time. What do you think? What?
You should have made a 4-on-4
with this guy. No. Why? Why are you doing that in the playoffs? It's not that hockey. You don't mess with the hockey game. It's the playoffs. Sudden death, 5-on-5.
I think a second-rate player, a third-rate coach, and a fourth-rate GM shouldn't be on fucking NBC. And I think the fact that he's on Twitter, I follow some guys that say some pretty heinous shit to people, and they've been pretty tough on Mike Milbury.
Some of these comments, I know you're friends with them. I think I called him insane. I think some people, hey, Mike, this is the Space Needle, and your idea goes downhill from there. I mean, some of the responses are amazing.
This is the same guy who got the shit beat out of him in Madison Square Garden because he had the brains to go into the crowd. The crowd.
But Dan, do you really think they should go 4-on-4? I mean, is that what you really think?
No, but I mean, it would be fun. I mean, if we're talking, variables. When you watch an overtime game, it's pretty awesome, right? When you're like, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, blah, 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 whatever. I don't think and the NHL would never do it, especially if they're trying to legitimize their season like everybody else. They're not going to come up with some gimmick to cover the nut, but it would be fucking awesome, though.
I agree with you. I think it would be fun. I think the shootout's worn out its welcome. I think in the regular season, I would rather see the 3-on-3. Yeah. I would rather see the 3-on-3 extended to 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I mean that's the equivalent of putting a runner on second base in the 10th inning, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Extend the 3-on-3 to 10 minutes because the 3-on-3 is a lot of fun. But rather than go to a friggin' shootout, keep it going for a little bit longer, and then if there's nothing, then a tie. The NHL held ties for years. There's no big deal in having a tie in the regular season, but in the playoffs, play till you drop. And that Tampa Columbus game, that was fantastic overtime, and we've seen some good ones as Ranger fans in the last 10 years. Derek Stepan. Against the Capitals. Against the Capitals specifically, we've seen some really good ones.
Yeah, right. Game 7, the whole deal.
Yeah.
So as it currently stands, as we sit here in the middle of round one, qualifying series is over. Who are your current picks right now from the East and the West? Right now, Dan.
From the East, I'm taking the Flyers still. I'm with them.
Yeah.
Shitty draw for them. That way, I think the Flyers are going to consistently stay hot. And in the West, I don't care.
Matt?
I am taking Vegas in the West. And believe it or not, in the East, I kind of don't care. I think there's probably a good chance that Carolina goes on a hot run.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably say that.
I hope not. That's a Rangers. That's a draft pick. We need that to be 20, not 30.
Okay, well, I don't count my pennies the way you do. We got the first round pick. I'm not.
I was going to say they already have the first pick, and
that's a big value switch.
Look, in no uncertain terms, right? Carolina fist fucked the Rangers in the first round, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
In the play-in, and now they have to play Boston, right? So they're down one.
Boston doesn't look good.
Oh, they're a little, they're a good team and they're a little disjointed. And if you run into if Carolina had won yesterday, we'd be having a different conversation, I think. But,
yeah.
I wouldn't count out the Blue Jackets. I think they play with adversity all year long.
I know.
I honestly think out of the West, I mean, you flip a coin between Vegas and Colorado, but I think this is Vegas's cup to lose right now.
I like Colorado. Their offense is tough to match. There's questions in the back line and the goaltending, perhaps, and the defense. But they score goals at will. I like Colorado, and I'm with Dan. Flyers right now. Flyers, and I think the Capitals have their hands full.
Can we get Milbury off the screen, please?
Oh yeah, fuck that guy. I really think the Capitals, as much as I like them going into this, I think the Islanders with Barry Trotz are very hard to play right now.
I mean, but it's all about the Flyers. I mean, they were hot when they ended the season, and they came back and they didn't miss a beat. So I feel it. Sorry, Matt.
No, hey, listen, I would. It's hard to say. You look at some of the teams that are in the East that are contenders: Boston, the Islanders, Philadelphia, and listen to Seth here.
Well, that topic is coming up soon. So if Seth wants to join the show and he has a moment, he definitely can.
Philly is also my only active wager on hockey. So
for your benefit, Dan, I would love to see that you cash in there. But to see that crabby frog hoist a cup, I
know.
But the Flyers,
Islander cup. Oh
God, the Islanders aren't going to win the cup. But they might make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're very hard to play.
Fine.
Canner's busting your balls about your head.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. We talked about it already, Seth. If you had tuned in on time, you would have known all about why I have a hole in my head.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but Hank's got blue Play-Doh on his balls.
Hank is under the table right now. I don't know what the hell's going on. That sounded terrible, actually. That really did, didn't it? Where the hell are we? We're still in hockey, right?
We finished hockey.
I think
baseball is supposed to be the crux of the show.
Well, I know, and so goodness gracious. Okay, well, why don't we go there, shall we? Why don't we go to baseball first? First things first. We can start with the Metropolitans, Matt. I have no problem doing that. They are topical. They won today. I was waiting for Edluz Diaz and I don't actively root against the Mets. Listen, I like when both teams are competitive, but I have to tell you, I was actively rooting for Edluz Diaz to blow the game because why not? So the Mets came through today, and I got to tell you, one takeaway from the last week in general. Remember when we sat here a few weeks ago and we were like, the National League East is going to be the most competitive, toughest division in baseball. oh my God, every team except the Marlins is good. What the fuck were we talking about? Did we have any clue what we were talking about?
It's like the AL East. I think Baltimore would be in first place in the NL East.
What happened? What happened? First of all, the Marlins, the COVID Marlins, are 8-4. They played less games, but they're 4 games over 500. Okay, what is that? And then you have Atlanta 4-6 in their last 10, 11-9 overall. Not that great. Their best starting pitcher blew out his Achilles last week, so they have no pitching anymore. The Mets started off just absolute train wreck, and now they're 6-4. They're in it, right? And if the playoffs started today, they would make it. The defending World Series champion Nationals, they all of a sudden can't hit, even with the best rotation in the National League. They're 6-9. And the Philadelphia Phillies, Joe Girardi was supposed to be their savior. They look like 2 monkeys fucking a football. They're 5-8, and they're a circus act.
By the way, you talk about the Nationals with their rotation. Steven Strasburg got thrown out today.
He was in the
stands.
I hit from section 116. Dubs are throwing fans out now. What's going on?
Well, it's so great not being with no crowd that you could hear people. And he was arguing balls and strikes, and he said that's fucking garbage. And he got. And you
the umpires are so thin-skinned.
And you can hear Keith Hernandez go, "Oh, wow," which is always amazing when Keith Hernandez is like, affected by something, considering the guy was like a gigantic junkie.
Right. Was
man has a cat.
He is a bizarre man. Okay, I love listening to him. He's a strange man.
Yesterday, he was hanging baseball stirrups up on a clothesline during the game. I don't even know.
He was probably wearing them in the house.
He's lighting candles to Joe Boo.
But imagine having him as a neighbor. Like,
well, you'd always be able to get high.
Okay, you sit here today as a Met fan. Well, you sit here today as a Met fan, right? Because there's 8 teams per league make it in. What is your strategy now? Like, what do you do?
I think it's very interesting because 10 days ago, we're sitting at Binion's and you're like, hey, nobody could find Yoenis, and I'm like, I know where my anus is, and
you were like, what are you talking about? I was like, Yoenis.
I was playing golf, and there was like, Yoenis Cespedes disappeared.
I just walked up to Matt like after at the casino, like, where's Yoenis?
Yoenis is gone, and then fucking Marcus Stroman a week ago we're talking about it. He's done, and so. And then they lose Michael Wacha, who was no fucking loss to an injury.
No, Wacha's going to give you – he's a pretty good starter.
Yeah, well, so I think actually the strategy is when he comes back, you dump Porcello, who has not been great. Wacha's actually been better.
Yeah.
So I think, Rojas has been making the right moves so far. We talked about at the beginning, the Mets had some depth. So Dom Smith moves into the DH role. He's been banging home runs. Today he had 2 doubles and a home run. He's had 4 home runs since he's been in the DH spot, replacing Yoenis. The Polar Bear's starting to come on. He had like 4 RBIs yesterday. Had two doubles, a single, and a home run. They stretched out Gesellman, or they're trying to stretch out Gesellman. To bring him back to be a starter. He was from 15 to 17. He was a starter. He's been a reliever. He prefers to start. That allows you to keep Dan's twin. What's his nut? Lugo. Thank you. As your closer, and that's the other move. Diaz, being the fucking head case that he is, they moved him to a setup guy. And the first couple games were shaky, but now he's been pretty lights out. And credit to Jeremy Hefner, he's gotten a guy to get back on top of his slider, which is really his better of his 2 pitches. And he's pitching. So listen, the Mets are they're not playing like the fucking Yankees right now, but they're putting things together.
And that's the thing. So you're Brody Van Wagenen. Hi, Brody. Nice to be on the show today. I'm glad you could join us. Trading deadline. Let's say they're in the same spot. Let's just say that they're on the eighth spot. You're buying, you're selling, you're staying pat. What the fuck are you doing?
I think just like any other sport, once you get in the playoffs, you have a chance. But here's the thing that's unique about Brody. August 31st is.
Hank just dropped a bone on my foot. Jesus.
Was it hard or?
Yes.
Oh, talking sports here. Come on, move
on. The Mets sale deadline for the best, like absolute best. Seth's throwing out a fucking.
I don't know. Why don't you tell us, Seth?
You know who's from Glensville?
We miss you, by the way.
Jim Hacksaw Duggan.
Oh! I'm sorry, Brody. I'm so sorry. Can you?
I think Brody's gonna be aggressive because he knows that the day A-Rod or Cohen or whoever signs those papers, they're also signing his pink slip.
Yes.
So
he's not your guy.
No, he's not.
So I don't think you'll see much action from the Mets. I think you'll probably see a stand pat because they're not going to know what direction they're going in because Brody's going to be jettisoned and no new owners.
Or they'll buy because the Wilpons don't give a shit. It's not going to be.
But what are you giving up to buy in short term and not? They got to work on this farm system again. They gave away a lot of assets.
They do not need Rosario because this kid Jimenez has been amazing. He's played second and third. He's a natural shortstop. He's got the arm. He's got the glove. He's got amazing range. He's fast as shit. So he's been, he's been everything that Rosario has not been since he's come up. Rosario is still a decent fielder. Flip him for somebody.
So this will be interesting to see what happens because this National League situation is very, very delicate, shall we say. And with 8 teams making it in the playoffs, it's going to be really interesting to watch. So as a Met fan, it's not over. And it is very much in play to make the playoffs. And that National League East is really fucking weird. I don't even know what the Marlins are going to turn out. I mean, you stay hot another week and they're going to make the playoffs. It's crazy. So we'll see what happens there as we move on to the other side of the city in the Bronx. So, Dan, we have a Yankees team right now that won last night against Atlanta. And with the American League East right now, I would say this is more what we expected, right? So the Yankees are 1 game over Tampa Bay, who was very difficult to play over the weekend. And we knew going into the season Tampa would be. Outside of that, the Yankees have been the class of the American League East and are 12-6, even though they're 5-5 in their last 10. So we have some concerns. I have some concerns. Gary Sanchez is lost. I mean, Gary Sanchez is like, I don't know, he's like lost. And Gleyber Torres is in the worst slump of his career. Although I disagree with you. You want to bench him. I don't want to bench Gleyber. I want him to hit out of it. Do you still want to bench him?
I mean, the problem is I don't know who you replace him with. I mean, you could keep Either way, you can't move forward into the infield, especially since the outfield is haggard and broken.
DJ can play in the whole infield, but I mean, let the guy.
Look, if we're talking about revelations here, religious revivals and biblical experiences, DJ LeMahieu is a gift from the Lord Jesus Christ himself. Because that guy can hit, he can field, he can do it all.
I didn't know he was in Florida. The whole quarantine, he stayed in Florida.
He is leading the American League in batting right now. And that's we're at the what
that's a hot take. It's a hot take, Seth.
We're at the 30% poll here, the third of the season poll.
Roughly.
And I mean, the Yankees are there are glaring holes in the team. And the problem is that a guy like Stanton gets hurt, he's going to be out for when you're talking about a 10-game injury list, you're talking about 1/6 of the season.
Well, they're saying stuff 3 weeks minimum, and in Stanton, that probably means 5 or 6. We have Judge.
Everybody, I'm sick of playing the coddle John Carlos Stanton game. In that it's like, well, he was on fire at the beginning of the season, and the guy does hit the ball hard. I get it. He hit that long home run in DC at the beginning of the season, but it's like, how many of these grade 1 hamstring strains are we going to tolerate here? These guys in the 80s and even in the 90s would be laughing at this bullshit that he's sitting out for 2 weeks in a shortened season where you can shoot out for the World Series because his hamstring got hurt on a slide into second base.
He's not even playing the field that he's getting hurt. But now you have Aaron Judge out with something.
I told you.
I said it too during our preview show, MLB show, that they would both be hurt. I was like, they're both going to get hurt. They're not playing the whole season. And here we are.
We're playing this bullshit Savages, next man up game again. And granted, Mike Ford has filled in, and Clint Frazier hit a home run last night.
But Seth, to your thing, yes, the playoffs are a wide open field because of these things that can happen. I was okay with it this year, but there's only one champion. So at the end of the day, there's only one champion.
I agree. You have to extend the brackets a little bit in the playoffs in a shortened season because
this is what happens. You have a team like the Marlins, right? You got to make sure the Marlins don't take a playoff spot out of the break.
The Yankees lineup is going to be fine. They're going to, they need to start scoring runs outside of the home run, and they'll be fine. Gardner needs to start hitting, and he will because he's Brett Gardner. The problem with the Yankees.
Speaking of overrated Yankees,
I don't want to in the longest tenure. I don't want to go back to this again, but you cannot use 7 pitchers in a game in August against the fucking Braves when you're up by 6 runs.
Well, because he's fucking
Aaron
around.
Boone used 7 pitchers last night.
He's fucking around with the tier C relievers.
The
day before and off day. Why?
Starters cannot go 100 innings. They can't go 9 innings. I get it. They can't go 8 innings. You do not need to piss away your bullpen repeatedly. And that's without – okay. So the big question mark here, of course, is that Chapman is MIA, right?
He'll be back in a
couple weeks. He's that, whatever. So if you bring Chapman back, where is a mildly reliable reliever, say that 10 times fast, in the regular season, when you're not pitching against people that know what pitches are coming. But Green, it has been terrific.
He's been great. Lasagna's been great.
But the thing is that Lasagna is a starter, right? Like he's bred as a starter. Britton. He's all over the place, and
Britton's been very good.
The problem I think the Yankees have is that there's no middle. So if your starters are only going to go 3 to 4 innings, there's nobody in the middle that's going to eat those next 3.5 innings.
That's what Lasagna's going to do because that's what he's done now.
But he can't do it by himself.
No. So, that's why I think you bring up a Clark Schmidt or a King. And
Clark Schmidt is that run up to the season. Clark Schmidt should have been on the map for any. We called him out on the Grand Central Sports Hub, right? And we saw him, and we knew that he was going to be. Where is he? He's at the alternate site. He's in Scranton.
Well, he's not on the 40 man. So there's in service time. I think they're going to pull the trigger this year.
Right? You have to. Look, if you're going to win the fucking World Series, go out and fucking win the World Series.
Dan, you made a comment, and I don't know why this is the case. So we grew up on the tail end of, starters actually starting a game, and then you go to maybe a setup guy and then a closer, or I don't know, something crazy like a fucking complete game. It's a 60-game season. These guys are going to pitch 5, maybe 15 games. Why the fuck can't they pitch into the 8th?
But because there was no spring training, right? But we talked about this at the beginning of 5 months ago, whatever it was.
Okay.
When how many starts are each of these guys getting? When we were talking about Cy Young winners and all that kind of stuff.
We'll never see this anymore.
So theoretically, right now, Garrett Cole could go 6-0, right? And that would be his season check, whatever, or DeGrom or whoever, whatever.
Yeah.
So you have, and to be honest, the funny thing is that the opening game of the season that was on ESPN, Garrett Cole got a complete game, as did Scherzer, because it was called in the 7th inning because it started deluging in DC. So he gets credited with a complete game because he pitched in the 7th inning, or 6 1/3 or whatever it was. But these guys, I think maybe now after, so what, we're in turn 2 of the rotation now, right, or turn 3. You got to let your top 3 guys just go. Like if they're pitching, let them go.
I agree, but there's this analytic shit that these guys do not want their starters seeing the lineup a third time. I know, no. I have
analytics here. Though.
I don't like it, but this is a thing now.
You have 60 games. Do you want to fucking win them? If your pitcher is dealing, let him fucking pitch.
I agree.
I guarantee you, all these guys have the same attitude of Mike Mussina. When they see anyone come out there, get the fuck back in the dugout.
That's maybe the best baseball video of our lifetime.
Absolutely.
Other than Terry Collins going off.
And Torrey. But what was good about that is that Torrey was like, okay.
Mike Mussina built that respect. There's only a couple guys that could do that right now. Garrett Cole, Jacob deGrom, and I can't even think of maybe Clayton Kershaw, but he don't have the ball.
I'd put Scherzer on that list. I'd put
Strasburg. Kershaw don't have the balls. He won't do it. Scherzer would do it. He can do it.
It didn't work so well when Pedro did it to Grady Little, but Mike Mussina.
Well, that was a different. I don't think he could have told everybody in the stadium that he was ready to go. Everybody's like, you should probably not be in this game anymore.
I kind of wish Terry didn't listen to Matt Harvey, but
the Yankees right now, level set, right? Like the offense is there, obviously. I mean, they've taken. So we talked about it on this show that the Braves are going to be the team to beat the NL East, and the Yankees have taken them to the shit twice, right? And it was on, you had Toussaint, and then you had a smattering of pitchers yesterday. And granted, Atlanta made it interesting, but Acuna is not in the lineup against the Yankees over the last 2 days. And, you've got Ozuna and Freeman back-to-back, and, that's kind of scary. But then after that, it gets a little bit thin.
It does. I want to talk about what Seth said here a little more. I don't disagree. Tampa played the Yankees very tough. Tampa's going to be very tough. Here's where I think the Yankees separate themselves. They are going to beat the other teams more than Tampa will beat the other teams, right?
Yeah, so, the Yankees will
take advantage of those teams more than Tampa, and that's why the Yankees will win the division.
The Yankees are at the beginning right now of a 9-game homestand, too. They have the Red Sox over the weekend in a wraparound that goes into Monday. And, the Red Sox are just abysmal. Everybody here is talking about the Bruins, and no one even knows that baseball even exists because the Red Sox, they beat Tampa twice, I think, over the weekend, and they're like, oh, okay, great. Nobody cares. So if the Yankees go out in Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees have the best home record in the American League over the last 2 years. They go out there and they dick stamp the fucking Red Sox over the weekend. Great. So there's 4 games. Let's say they win 3 or 4. They're what, 15-9, 16-9, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's I don't know who Tampa has over the weekend, but I think the Yankees need to make markers here against the National League, and they're doing that so far. The Braves. The last 2 days have been embarrassed by the Yankees in New York. Maybe that would be different in their new stadium. They haven't played the Mets yet, I don't think. I'm not really worried. Tampa.
And here's the other thing. Every team's going to have injuries. Every team's going to have issues. The Yankees' depth is ridiculous. Clint Frazier comes up yesterday. He gets 3 hits, a home run, and hasn't played in the majors since last year. Okay,
with all that pitching and all that New York Post bullshit last year,
Miguel Andujar is at the alternate site right now. He can't crack the lineup.
Miguel Andujar should be on another team,
starting every day, or as a designated hitter because he can't field. But that's besides the point. The point is the depth is ridiculous.
Wait till these teams start making trades in this strange world. Deadlines.
When is the trading deadline anyway?
It's like September 15th or something.
So to answer your question, the Mets and the Yankees play not this weekend, but the weekend of the 21st, 3-game set, and then the following weekend, a 3-game set.
Home and home kind of thing.
Yeah. So, that'll be hell for me, those 2 weekends.
I mean, I think it'll be fun, though. And I mean, it is bizarre. Like, of all the sports so far that we've watched, like, seeing an empty stadium is like a baseball stadium without that sort of buzz, without the smell of peanuts, and sausages in the air. It is strange.
That's a segment for later. We'll get there.
But so I forget who it was yesterday. Like, smashed a ball. It was Freeman or something, like down the left field line, and it hit a bunch of seats and it bounced around. And I was like, there really is nobody there. Like, you have a hard time registering it.
Even when the Mets are putrid, they seem to rise up for the Yankees, so it's interesting. There are some bad games. Mm-hmm. I think, Jason, you and I went to one where I was like, let's fucking leave it in the 6th inning.
Matt, to your point, the fact that baseball is on TV at all right now is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like into the Midwest, like Bible Belt teams or anything, or Cincinnati, St. Louis, whatever. But like, if there's another game on, I'm gonna it's the same thing with the NBA. Like, I'm gonna watch it because it's like, holy fuck, there's baseball on TV.
So,
just like politics, you want to watch the coastal city.
I have a question.
Oh, you want to watch the real guys going at it?
Matt, what the fuck's your problem with Don Mattingly?
Is that what we're segueing right over that?
Yeah, we are.
Hey, hold on. Before we do that, we need an ombudsman segment at some point to talk about our horse racing last week.
I need to get this. This needs to come out because 2 days ago.
I don't really like using profanity.
You were texting a bunch of shit about Don Mattingly. I don't know what the hell happened or where it come from or what got you all fired up. What the fuck's your problem with Don Mattingly? A guy who's an American League baseball player for the Yankees his whole career, had no effect on the Mets. What the fuck's your problem?
No effect on the Mets. Let me tell you something. In the 1980s, New York the center of New York was Flushing. Okay? But who'd you fucking hear about? That fucking weird mustache, mullet-wearing motherfucker.
Because he was dominating. Dominating baseball player in those seasons. Those seasons he was dominating in the American League.
My friends,
best hitter in the American League for about 3 or 4 seasons during that time.
Yeah, and you know when he stopped fucking being good?
When he got hurt.
Half of his fucking career.
When his back went out and he got hurt. And he didn't stop being good. He stopped being dominant. He was still good.
Right around the time his boss said, hey, you look like a fucking dirtbag, cut your hair, and he started crying about it to the post.
So you're just mad. I got it. You're mad he blew up the spotlight of the Mets when you said the Mets were the better baseball team. You're just mad that the back page was talking about Donnie Baseball instead of your Mets. That's why you're mad.
Yeah, whose side are you on? You're always the neutral party.
I'm not listening.
Okay. Dan's listening to the music. So before you start yelling, hold on.
I'm looking at gambling odds.
From 1984 to 1989.
9. He didn't do shit after 89.
No, I'm not. I'm going to say 84 to 87, he was dominant. And then up to 89, he was very good. So you are definitely jealous that the best baseball player in New York was Don Mattingly during the time that the Mets were the better team, right? That's your problem.
Bleacher Report, where I have numerous sources, the best sources.
You're working for them, you could tell us. Are you getting a paycheck from them?
The best sources, as a matter of fact. Okay, Don Mattingly was a 307 lifetime hitter.
That's nothing to sneeze at.
You want to let me fucking talk here, okay? Before I reach through the screen, he didn't crack 300 for the last 8 years of his career. Okay. In the Bleacher Report published a very factual report, the top 50 most overrated players in the Major League history. Now, this is just to show you here that I am not going to, use this just to my advantage. You know who else was on this list? He wasn't ranked as high as Donnie Baseball, as you want to call him. I've never heard that moniker before. I think it's kind of misplaced. But
you never heard that before?
I think you made that up. Darryl Strawberry, of course, his picture on this Bleacher Report article has him in a Yankees uniform.
I love Darryl too. So
yeah, so did his dealer. You know who else was listed on here? My absolute hero, Mike Piazza. And it wasn't based on his hitting. It was based on the fact the guy was like Rube Baker in fucking Major League 2 and couldn't throw anybody out to second without thinking about Playboy.
Furthers to Hollywood.
However, that's right. However, the number one person that they put on there, you want to know who the number one most overrated player in Major League Baseball history was?
Derek Jeter.
No. Jeter didn't make it on here, and I would give Jeter credit where credit's due.
You can't be Mattingly. He's not even in the Hall of Fame. How is he overrated?
It wasn't Mattingly. It was Nolan Ryan. Okay.
This fucking article is trash. What the hell?
Hold on. It makes a good case here.
This is what you're citing?
You want to let me finish?
Oh
no.
It makes a good case as to why. It also says that Roger Maris was. Why was Nolan Ryan overrated? Okay, yeah, he was a workhorse. He pitched 658 innings in 2 years, 73 and 74. In his career, he had 5,700 strikeouts. And in 3 seasons, 72, 73, 74, he had 1,000 of those. But he had longevity. He had 27 years where he was a pitcher. He only hit the 20-win mark twice. What else?
The wins don't mean shit.
Hold on. He only had 1 ring. 1 ring in 27 years.
Too. Rings are overrated and wins are overrated.
Rings are overrated. Take away Jeter's rings. Is he in the Hall of Fame?
Jeter's still in the Hall of Fame. Okay.
Take away his 6 rings. He's in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, because rings. So Dan Marino shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame then?
No.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. You can play at shit teams. Rings mean nothing. When it's talking about the Hall of Fame, rings mean nothing.
Okay.
Right? So on base percentage. So OPS plus is like the end all be all like hitting stat now. So you're talking about on base plus slugging. And 100 is a league average, right? So Don Mattingly's career is a 127. 100 is a league average, and only 2 of his seasons was under 100 of OPS plus. So I mean, in the years that he was great, we're talking 150s and 160 OPS plus, and every season except 2 were over 100. Don Mattingly is not a Hall of Famer. Don Mattingly is not overrated. And by the way, best fielding first baseman that we grew up with, and I don't want to hear about the other guy across town.
Oh, you talking about Gil Hodges?
No, the other one.
Piazza?
First base. Didn't you have who the other fuck?
John Olerud?
Well,
Keith Hernandez.
Yes, Keith. Yeah.
Keith Hernandez. Okay. Hold on. What the fuck? You're telling me Keith Hernandez doesn't belong in fucking Cooperstown?
No, I said Don Mattingly is a better first baseman.
You're on whatever the fuck Keith was snorting during the 80s.
I mean, you think Keith Hernandez is a better? We need to put the stats. So next week, all right.
Yeah, I got the stats right here. Okay. Okay. He was a 296 hitter. His OPS plus was 128. How many home runs did Mattingly have? Okay, he has less home runs. He has 162. The guy has 3 rings to Mattingly's. How many?
Yeah, but the rings. The Yankees were not very good then. So
the guy was overrated. The guy was simple. It says it right. Look,
the case overrated. I just don't understand how he's overrated. No one here is saying he's a Hall of Famer. So how is he overrated?
He was the premier first baseman from 84 to 89.
He was more than a premier first baseman. He was the best hitter in the American League.
But after that, he was just average.
When you have 5 dominant seasons, and after that, he was more than average. That is crazy to say he's average. He was above average.
He was above average, but he only played 97 games. He was a fan favorite in the Bronx, which probably leads to why everybody thinks he was so fucking great. Another first baseman legendary in New York, who also deserves to be in the Hall of Fame besides Keith Hernandez, Gil Hodges, has equally as good statistics and also has, by the way, 3 rings, including one as a manager,
I have
from
no
a team
problem.
that the previous year lost 100 games.
I have no problem with Gil Hodges, but I wish you would stop talking about rings like they mean something.
You're telling – oh, by the way, this list, by the way, very good, lists Bernie Williams and Scott Brocious also as highly overrated. I think Trump –
I like Brocious, good ball player, clutch, dependable. He's not overrated in the sense that no one is saying Brocious is a great baseball player. He's a good baseball player.
The Yankees dynasty does not stay together if it weren't for Bernie Williams. Fact.
And I love Bernie Williams, but he's not a Cooperstown ball player. He's a very
I agree. But
so he's not overrated. But yeah, no, he was very important.
Sacrilege also says that Thurman Munson was overrated.
Oh God! All right, so listen, I have a fun segment here, so we can clear the air.
Yeah, Jason, why don't you?
All right. Can we get to horse racing for a second?
Oh, let's back. Dan needs to pat himself on the back. So let's.
Finally, Don Mattingly overrated to all other 29 markets except for the goddamn Bronx.
As a fake television show, we should be applauding ourselves that we cashed a lot of tickets this weekend, boys. So,
Not me.
Oh well, I did. Sorry. Caro, what do we tell you? Would come, with that stretch run, and there's an ombudsman moment here. Last week, I referred to California Chrome as a Triple Crown winner. That is incorrect. He lost the Belmont. The true winner that we were looking for was Justified. So I stand corrected, and now you can go on with everything else because I, just needed to clear the air that we made a mistake last week.
Overwood was a very good ball player, but he's not ahead of Mattingly.
Clearly, you don't care about respect.
By the way, I'm very touched. I'm very touched that Pete Capello, a guy who I consider a brother without any kind of blood, is watching this show. But he is a fan of Tom Brady, so I can only take his word with a grain of salt. But Don Mattingly, overrated. Fact, the only Yankee game I ever went to was with Pete Capello.
What do you mean, the only one at Yankee Stadium?
I've only gone to one Yankee game. It was with my brother and Pete Capello. I think
they let you in.
Yeah, they let me in. I was like fucking 6 years old. I think it was in his Pete. If you're still watching, I think it was in your fucking Beetle. I remember parking some shady ass fucking neighborhood in the Bronx. Really, that doesn't fucking narrow it down. But
listen,
the only time I ever went to Yankee Stadium.
I will tell you. I mean, you can't get a worse area than the
Yankee game. That's wrong, Pete. My father never took me to a Yankee game.
Your father never would. He probably would.
No, we only ever went to these games.
Do a lot.
Me, you, and Christopher, and maybe some broad. I don't remember.
The Yankee. I mean, I think we all could agree. Can we piece on the fact that Yankee Stadium couldn't be in a worse location?
Having never been to the Polo Grounds, I think the Giants probably had it worse. Giants, Mets, and Yankees.
This is actually a segue. Speaking of things in bad locations.
Oh boy.
Is there a chain that we all crave at a certain time of night? Or time? Have you ever?
Dispensaries don't have chains.
I'm craving it now, but that's because I took my back knife.
Seen this chain in a good neighborhood? Have we ever seen a White Castle in a good neighborhood?
I have.
Gets my point now.
Borough Park, Brooklyn, by St. Catherine's Church. St. Catherine's Roman Catholic Church, by where my parents got married, my grandmother's lifelong parish. Fort Hamilton Parkway in Brooklyn. It's probably not there anymore. This was 20 years ago. I do remember it not having the bulletproof glass like the one in Nanuet.
Or the one I'm surprised the one in Vegas we went to last week didn't have 3 bulletproof glasses. COVID glass.
If you remember,
they didn't have it.
No, they had no COVID glass. It did have. If you remember, it had a bullet.
It did.
Hole.
They changed that glass out because it didn't.
And yeah, Pete, we do this every Thursday night, 6:00 Eastern.
8:00 Eastern. 6:00.
8:00 Eastern.
Don't fuck up our.
I'm home.
So we're having a conversation earlier.
You guys come here often?
We're bringing back Start Bench Cut tonight with like all different topics. So they're all random weird shit. So there was a conversation we were having earlier that Dan, I believe, asked us about the best sliders. And
it's hard. It's a hard one.
White Castle, Crystal, which is it's regional, right? White Castle's in only a certain part of the country. Crystal's only a certain part of the country, right? And then there's
the Union versus the Confederacy.
It is. Because the only time I had Crystal was in Florida, and I haven't, so.
The only time I've had Crystal was I was trying to figure this out with Katie, my wife, earlier. I was like, the only time I've had Crystal was either in Alabama or Mississippi. And I think it was Alabama.
Oh.
But it doesn't matter.
And then we have a third, which is not a chain, which is White Mana, and in where what part of Jersey, Matt, again?
Hackensack.
There's 2 of them. There's one in Hackensack and there's one in Jersey City. They're both kind of sitting on the cliff overlooking the Hudson.
Yeah, I've been to the one in Hackensack.
So
it was a destination burger joint when I was at Don Bosco Prep.
So
it's got about enough room for 4 people inside.
Have we all been to all 3? I've been to all 3.
I have been to all 3.
All right, so we all in the right position to discuss and Start Bench Cut. Dan, what do you think?
Well, I mean, the White Mana is a one-off. It's a Hackensack tradition. It's down the street from the hospital. It could be in a Billy Joel song. I mean, you walk in, they had plexiglass before it was cool, and you walk in and the glass is steamed up with the burgers. I mean, the White Mana with the sign out, whatever it is, it's a Highland Avenue. I don't know what it is. But, man, you can't fuck with White Mana. And, if you were back in Jersey, I bet, if you weren't going to Steve's Sizzling Steaks or whatever before a Giants game and you were coming from the South, you'd stop at fucking White Mana. So I'm starting the Mana. I'm benching White Castle, and I'm cutting Crystal because, I don't know. I've only had it a couple times.
Matt?
I am, as I often am, I am quite aligned with Diamond Dan on this one. White Man is hard to beat. They are, they're pretty perfect. And so good. White Castle, I have fallen asleep on that drive-through in 2 different states, in New York, 3 actually. In New York, in Jersey City, and in Illinois when I lived in Chicago. Sorry, Dad, it's true. I have driven drunk.
Jesus.
Just for a record, it's past the statute of limitations, I hope. It's hard to pass. I mean, we were in Vegas last week and we parked outside it on Fremont Street, and how do you walk past it?
You don't.
No, we were day drunk. Yeah, we were drinking on our way to the. I mean, we had sodas on the way to where we were going to gamble.
Secondary question, Matt, for you: Gene and Jude's or White Castle?
Oh,
it's a tough one. I credit Mr. Soriano. I've had several layovers in Chicago, and when you turn me on to that place, you bring the rental car, almost knows where to go.
Fun fact, Mrs. Soriano probably would not be Mrs. Soriano if I did not take her there the first time. She saw that place and she was like, holy shit, this is amazing.
It is amazing. There's no way you just get there and they're like, it's no bullshit. That's like you're like right there by the airport. You feel like Ray Liotta in fucking Goodfellas and Idlewild Airport's like right over there.
You know what? I think we got to put that in a different Start Bench cut, like with Rutt's Hut and Hiram.
Or like Portillo's.
Yeah.
We'll round it up for next week, but that's the whole conversation by itself. I agree with this.
Wait. Portillo's, Nathan's, or Gina June's?
Oh, fuck. Just give it to me. Just give it all. How do you bench? How do you not start them all?
Well, I feel like it's hard to compare Gina June's hot dog to like an Italian beef on a Polish sausage at fucking Portillo's.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, these all have something in common: is you're going to be shitting your brains out.
We could joke. There's things about Chicago. I actually think it's a great city if they just get this crime under control. Best food city. I really.
I just had this discussion at dinner with my children and my wife that one of my favorite hotels in the country is the Chicago Hilton because it is so well located. And
the Palmer House?
The old Chicago Hilton across from Millennium Park, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you could walk to what is it? The Field Museum. You could walk to Soldier Field. You walk up the Miracle Mile, whatever. I mean, you're right there. It's a beautiful hotel. It's old school. They shot The Fugitive there. Come on.
Yeah.
So the next one is Ballpark Eats, but there's a caveat to this. Okay. The question is not about your feelings now. Your question is as a child. And let's say a child, when I say maybe 16 and younger, 13 and younger, I don't know. When you went to a game, were you most excited about your hot dog?
Please tell me, Jason, how do you define a child?
Your Premio or your ice cream?
I go to a ballpark. I'm still acting like a kid.
Wait, what's the third one? I got the ice cream and the Premio, but what's the last one?
It's the ice cream. It's the ice cream and a batter's helmet.
No. What's the one on top of that?
It's a hot dog and sauerkraut.
Yeah, that's City Field.
As a kid, it was always I never had sausage and peppers at the ballpark. I don't even think Shea had all that shit.
90s. I feel like the sausage was a 90s thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, until I was like an adult going to Shea and doing all that shit on my own, I would start the hot dog, you got to get the ice cream in the helmet, bench the ice cream in the helmet, and then cut the Premio, even though those are good. City Field does have good sausage and peppers.
I don't do dessert at a baseball game. I never did.
They don't. But I mean, so you're talking about as a kid?
Yeah,
like I partially grew up in Houston. You want the hot dog, a steamed hot dog with a soda. Nothing beats that at a ball game. Nowadays, you want a beer and a Premio, and ice cream. I'm with you, Jason. No desserts at a ball game.
I'll tell you.
I'll say this: if I go to a ball game, I don't want dessert at the game. I want to finish the game, and I'm going to drive down Roosevelt Avenue. I'm going to make a left on 111th Street, and I'm going to go to the Lemon Ice King. I'm going to get a lemon ice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
King of Corona.
Suck it down until I get every last drop out of the paper. It wasn't a regular thing, but there were a couple of times when I was a kid after the game, because we always left early because you had to get out of that goddamn parking lot before all the other cars. There was a couple of times because my dad was born in Corona, he would want to go by it, the house he was born in, and a few times we stopped at the Ice King. But there's nothing better. There's plenty of good ice places in New York, but there's nothing better than the original Lemon Ice King. The only three acceptable flavors being lemon, chocolate, and cherry.
Correct.
No mixing.
No
mixing.
No, I'm with Dan on the start bench cut. I'll tell you these days, one hot dog, one Premio. Right? Or two of each.
I mean, the great thing about, these stadiums with even Nationals Park, like with the open air and everything, I mean, you smell those peppers come over, you smell those onions, you're like, ooh, where's that?
Gentlemen, where are you getting your tacos from?
Well, I'm bagging Taco Bell right off the bat.
I tell you what, don't sleep on a Jack in the Box 99-cent taco.
No. Del Taco, that's a West Coast delicacy right there.
It's their fries are great. Like, who would have thought?
Oh, yeah. You see that? There was one right when I was traveling to California a lot. There was a Del Taco right down the street from the hotel I used to stay in. That was and a Big Boy. They were next to each other. I couldn't figure it out.
Big Boy.
Like, do I want to go back to the hotel and feel sorry about myself, or do I want to stay in a restaurant and feel sorry about myself?
I had a Del Taco in Michigan. That's the furthest east I've seen one.
Really?
Do you remember when they had Big Boy on the Garden State Parkway?
Oh yeah, you had to stop there going to Wildwood, right?
Big Boy and Roy Rogers, they were always together.
Oh, that's right. Roy's fried chicken would sit real well right now.
At the Fixins bar. Oh man, you can bag Taco Bell to shit into hell.
Yeah,
I will never go. I can't even remember the last time I went to a Taco Bell. Look at me.
Taco. My sister does not eat any kind of fast food at all, but she's got some hankering for Taco Bell that I will never understand.
But if you're like at midnight and you've had a little too much to drink, it works. It does.
You can always go to Whataburger and sit in line for an hour and a half.
And fall, or right, you can do that. Oh my God! Or that Steak and Shake line we were in last year in Arlington. It took like 3 years, and I yelled at the guy. I couldn't remember my order.
Look, as an East Coast bred, Texas bred, as an East Coast bred adult, tacos are not on my list for a late night pickup. It's like it's pizza or it's burgers or it's go to bed and throw up.
I could tell you, if you've been drinking a lot in Austin, Whataburger benches make a great place to nap, and the cleaning lady will nudge you with the mop handle to wake you up when you order.
Sir, here's your iced tea.
It was a strawberry shake.
You want the spicy ketchup? Oh.
I think she was concerned that I was deceased. Mrs. Diamond.
All right, so there's a story here. It was right after our first son was born, Andrew, and I bought all the breakfast. I bought all the breakfast items at one time at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I didn't shit for 3 days.
What a burger! See, no, because go ahead.
I have to agree with my dear, precious, most beloved cousin Megan here, who I'm very touched again that she is tuning into our little show here. Megan, very big Dallas Stars fan, so I'd like to say that I'm rooting for you, but she bought an Islander jersey in her last trip to New York, so I can't root for the Stars. Whataburger is worth the wait, but I've only had it when I've been so intoxicated I can't say my name, so I can't really weigh in on that.
Megan, Pete's Harry's is better than Whataburger, and I think I'll get evicted from. I'm moving anyway. What the fuck?
Hey, Megan,
I like Whataburger is great as long as it's not going to make you throw up.
Hey, Megan. Megan, is Grandy's fried chicken still a thing in Dallas? If you're still listening, because I remember having that when I was like 10 years old, and they had really good fried okra.
Oh, I like fried okra.
And if it is mush, you need to get some of that before you leave Texas.
I'll take a ride up there. I got nothing else to do. It's not like I'm working or anything. Best stadium celebration for home runs. We take a break from food for a minute. We'll go pivot back to the ballpark. We have the Apple in Citi Fields. We have Bernie Brewer sliding into a mug of beer. And that fucking bell, Liberty Bell, that's what it is.
Well, can we preface this? The Brewers dumped the beer.
Thank you. Oh, what? They got rid of that?
No beer anymore.
No more beer.
Not for a long time.
Oh, because it's not even Coors Field now, too, right?
It's Miller Park.
Miller Park, but you can't show a white guy with red hair sliding into beer.
God forbid.
That is against the rule. I mean, this is such a layup here, and as a politician, it's like you raise the apple. I mean, I think I have an apple here. It is iconic.
The apple is great. It's great. Abby.
As soon as my daughter could stand and walk, when we the second time I took her to New York, as soon as she was able to function as a walking, talking human being, I took her to the front of Citi Field. I tipped my way in because it was off season into the parking lot. Went to the old Apple in front and got a picture of her standing in front of it.
Which is awesome. The fact that it's there is amazing. It's so
absolutely great. It was like one of the one good things that the Wilpons did was to preserve that old apple. May
I with the rubber and the bases in the parking lot for Shea Stadium.
Yeah. Did we park at home plate when we went? Oh, hey, it's home plate. When I beat you,
that is. I mean, I appreciate that shit. That is awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully the next owner will, put some more Mets shit up in the fucking ballpark. And
Alex Rodriguez.
Listen,
yeah.
Even though Bernie does not slide into beer anymore, he's still gonna at least be benched. I gotta cut the Liberty Bell though, right?
Yeah, fuck the Phillies.
Yeah, it takes too long.
Really, the Phillies should have like some guy with eyes on the side of his head.
Yeah, who takes your money out of your car?
No teeth. Like, they should have a carjacking or
he steals your stereo. It's like, well, then again, the Mets could have somebody take it off the rims of your car.
When you hit a home run in Philadelphia, they should just spray the opposing pitcher with D-cell battery.
I mean, but if
make it really authentic.
The old Apple, right, at Shea Stadium, like that home run light when it lit up, it's like, and it comes out of the thing. It was, that is iconic baseball. That's iconic New York. Yeah, it's so good. It's so memorable. Like, how could you fuck with the Apple?
The other good thing that they did is behind the scoreboard in the kind of the pavilion that they built back there where all the food is, they took the city skyline that was on top of the old scoreboard.
Yeah.
And they put that there. It's always lit up. It used to light up at night. Right. And it used to blink. It would blink when there was a home run.
Right.
And it's got the red, white, and blue ribbon over the towers.
Right.
The logo has changed a little bit over the years. But it's got the bridges in the building.
It used to light up when they hit a home run, right?
Yeah, they were like fluttering.
Yeah,
so they've kept some of that stuff, and not the little touches like that. But I agree. Even if I wasn't a Met fan, that Apple is cool. My kid. It's amazing how she could sit and watch a baseball game considering she has no attention span, and as soon as she just focuses, sees that Apple go up, and she just goes batshit.
My only problem was why didn't they keep it in a top hat? That added a little something. And
I agree.
Home run, why can't you have the home run?
What they did. So the thing is with Citi Field, because they were we talked about this earlier at the beginning of the plague or whatever on the show. And the fact that you could walk up to a chain link fence, right up to the bullpen, is amazing. And I don't think people understand because Citi Field is very large, and if you find your way and somehow sneak over the bridge and go down over there, you could be standing 5 feet away from the pitcher that's warming up to go into the game. I mean, it's just underneath where the Apple is.
Well, below the scoreboard is elevated, and it's double sided. A lot of people don't realize this unless you've driven on Van Wyck.
Yeah,
it's double-sided. So if you're driving or you're in the parking lot, you can actually see everything that's going on.
Which is the difference between Citi Field and Nationals Park is that the game is shown on the backside of the scoreboard.
Right. So they have it. It comes out like a triangle. So they have all the big restaurants out there, but they also have a lot of high-top pub tables.
Yeah.
So you could sit under the scoreboard looking over right field and right center, and you could just hang out there. I think the first game we went to, there, I hung out in the outfield. There's a beer garden out there.
Yeah.
Just hung out there and drank and fucking ate Shake Shack and watched the game.
Now Meat Killer Brewery now has a thing out there, and
there's a Jim Beam bar and shit.
Right, and that's having that screen on the back is different than what because when I was living in Washington or whatever, and you had to create your what's going on over there, what's going on in the game. You didn't have a TV, you didn't have the SNY, or whatever, Masson feed, right in your face. So if you didn't want to, sit in the stadium or whatever, I mean, there's only 8 billion seats in that stadium anyway. But, I mean, that one time I walked down there, it was where the Apple used to be before they put it out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It was down by the bullpens. And I was like, holy shit, you could, the guy, you could listen to him talk. You could have a chat with the guys in the bullpen.
Yeah.
They were stashed out, behind the right center field wall.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
We talk about stadiums a lot, and Nats Park's nice and all. It has some bad seats, but Camden Yards is still the better ballpark.
Camden Yards is the leader in the clubhouse for baseball right now.
But they have built up – he's got a point. They have built up that area finally after Dan moved out. Finally, there's places that that you can go before and after games.
Oh, when I lived there, like 5 years before I lived down there.
With Gordon Biersch, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you could get a cab, or you would ask a cab. Like if you were standing outside the White House and you were like, "Hey, I want a cab to New Jersey Avenue Southeast," they're like, "Nah." After 8 o'clock at night, they're like, "Find your own way home."
Right.
And you knock it on the Green Line. And now, I mean, that whole neighborhood is just it's out of control.
As much as Wrigley sucks, and it does, Wrigleyville is fantastic, and that's what A-Rod kind of wants to turn.
Yeah, I mean. Exactly. And that's the great thing about Camden Yards, right? Is that you avoid all the riffraff, and you can park downtown.
Yep.
You know, in the Inner Harbor, and walk to the ball game, and you pass 15 bars on the way.
It's like you're not even in Baltimore. You're on your own little oasis.
It's great. You have to give people something to do before the game, whether it's a bite to eat or whether it's a beer or two, and then you got to get them to the game and get them out.
And for those of you ladies listening that don't understand why I hate Wrigley, you've clearly never used a trough before. And your husbands or other men in your life will explain that to you, but it's a horrible experience. Plus, if you're an opposing player, just expect to be wearing old style beer in every crevice of your body.
But I mean, it is a signature American experience to go there, though.
Absolutely.
Again, going back to like. Mrs. Sadowski and I, met some friends out in Chicago 4 or 5 years ago. And Friday night, we were in town. We were going to the game on Saturday anyway. And Friday, of course, with the Friday day game, because Wrigley was the last field to have lights in the we're like, fuck it, let's go to the game. I mean, it was a shitty day. That fog rolls in off the lake.
Yeah.
And we're like, you know what? Let's just get tickets and go. And we had a great, it's a great experience. It's small. It's like it's like a minor league experience almost. If you really sit, I've never sat beyond the bases, big timer, collared shirt.
I was lucky enough when I lived there that I had a business partner that had seats kind of behind the plate, lower tier. So I was spoiled, but it really is like a minor league stadium because it's only 2 tiers. You're covered if you're sitting down low.
I'll tell you, for that Friday game, Chapman was the closer for the Cubs at the time, and they were playing like the Reds or something. And he came in, and when he was warming up, like from where I was sitting, almost halfway, 40, 45, 50 feet down the first baseline, you could hear like the ball come out of his hand and like the snapping, like it was like you could hear it from where you were sitting in the stand, and that's different than a lot of ballparks in Major League.
The one thing I will say about Wrigley, if you want to find people around you to like have drinking games or get drunk, Midwesterners can really put it away.
I'll tell you, that was
Irish funeral.
We were there when the Blackhawks were playing the Lightning in the Stanley Cup Finals, and after the second game we went to on Saturday got rained out. There was a storm came over. And there was a hockey game going, so we all evacuate, Wrigley Field or let out into the streets in Wrigleyville, and the bars are like wall to wall people watching the Blackhawks. Like the lights from Wrigley Field are like shining into the bar, and everyone in there is watching the Blackhawks in the finals. It was amazing. I mean, it's a great sports neighborhood. It's a great sports city. It's a great American city, and I don't think that East Coasters appreciate it as much as they should.
I will say, being a New Yorker, moving there, never having lived anywhere else, kind of move there with your nose in the air. New York being, New York.
Yeah, sure, of course.
But it is.
Bye, Jason.
You got a white dot on your face.
Yeah. Well,
it is fantastic. The United Center, kind of the opposite. Fantastic arena if you want to go see a Bulls or a Blackhawks game.
Well, so when it was about the same time period, maybe a little bit before that, I flew in from California and I was going to Chicago from LA, and I flew in that night. I was driving out to Indiana. I was like, maybe I'll get tickets. I'll see what a standing room ticket costs to go see the Blackhawks. It was like $110. I was like, you know what? I don't need to see the Blackhawks that bad.
No.
Like that was at their height, right? Like that is a sports city. And I know, like the United Center Center, the greatest neighborhood, whatever. It was just like, you know what? I'm going to keep going down the Dan Ryan and find my way out to 90 and get out to Indiana.
Yeah,
and then accidentally I called a buddy and ended up in Michigan, but that's another story.
And you're only an hour and change from Notre Dame, so it's definitely.
Well, I was going to Elkhart,
okay.
So you go past South Bend, and it's funny how this comes back around because I was having a conversation earlier with my kids and my wife about how when I was in Chicago for a ball game not that long ago, it was raining and we almost gave up our tickets to the White Sox game to go see Notre Dame play Purdue. But we had already bought the tickets to the ball game, so you're like, do we want to go?
You braved the South Side.
Speaking of stadiums that are in bad neighborhoods.
Oh, God.
Oh, well, here's the thing. The best thing about it was there was a Buffalo Wild Wings knockoff down the street from whatever the fuck it's called now. Comiskey, what is it?
Guaranteed rate field.
Guaranteed rate, whatever it was. You could park in their parking lot.
Was that the Quaker State Oil and Wings?
No, that was in Buffalo.
Oh.
That place is pretty good.
It is pretty good. But it was called Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Oh, they have them here.
We went there before the game. You could park in their secured parking lot, and they put you could get a shuttle to the game and back for free. And as long as you bought like a bucket of beer, you could park for free.
If you're speaking of wing joints and good beer, if you're ever at O'Hare or flying in Chicago, Shoeless Joe's on, I want to say it was like,
yes, I've been there.
Like Rosedale Avenue, whatever.
Yeah, it's in Rosemont.
Rosemont.
Yeah.
It's like a knockoff tilted kilt, but it's like themed after the Black Sox. Why you would build a bar?
What city were they from?
The bartender like gave me free beer too. So.
Oh, it's all like airport people, but it's across from Harry Carey's. It's actually a really good bar.
Yeah, it is.
And their wings are really good.
We travel in 5 or 6 years. I mean, I as an East Coast soul, I love Chicago for its simplicity, and it's very kind of easy going.
Nicest people in the world.
Yeah, once I not to kill you with a story, but I had to go out there, and I was going out to Western Illinois for an event, and past Aurora, all the way kind of halfway at Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah,
and
been there.
They play music on the streetlights. And I got a ticket. It was $1, and I had to put it in a box right on the street. And he was like, "Oh well, the photographer's not going to be here till like Thursday." He and his wife are celebrating their 25th anniversary, big anniversary. I was like, "Oh, would they go to like Ocho Rios? Would they go to like Spain or something?" He's like, "No, they went to Chicago."
or a lot of people like the big vacations to Wisconsin Dells.
Right. I was like, "Come on, man." All right, whatever. I love it. I think the problem is that we're stuck, unable to travel mostly.
Yep.
Like
if we can go to Chicago today, I would.
I'd be in the car.
Giants are playing the Bears.
Exactly. See, that's the thing. We were talking about it at the beginning.
We would be looking into this. We would be scheduling something.
You know what? It's at the beginning of the season. It's not too cold down there. We could go to Chicago. You stay at the fucking Hilton. You could walk to the game, and oh man, like that would be. See, now I'm getting like sentimental.
No. But but okay. So speaking of sentimental, you sent us something. We talked a lot about Chicago on the show, but we are all from the same county and part of New York, and so we do this to also for our own entertainment, not just for anyone watching. So. I'm going to bring in something that's going to get us to really close the show in a sentimental.
Oh God!
We grew up in Rockland County, and the mall was the Nanuet Mall, right? Like that was the place. That was the shit. The Nanuet Mall.
That's the post renovation Nanuet Mall.
It is, and it is still something pre-renovation. I was a little young for. I still remember what was the place I'm all over the place. So the first floor, pre-renovation, the food, the restaurants.
It was Friendly's.
Ruby Tuesday.
No. Before Ruby Tuesday, not the new wing. Like next to Macy's or something. What was that place?
So actually, pre-renovation, Macy's was. God help me, I hate being the oldest out of the three.
I don't remember.
Macy's was Bamberger's.
But Macy's, I don't know. I don't. Yeah.
And shut up, Brian. This was our only place to hang out.
This was the place.
There was so outside of Bamberger's was Friendly's, which had a window that you could enter from the mall. You're talking about on the first floor.
Yeah, maybe it was Friendly's. I didn't think it was.
It was Friendly's. So Friendly's was inside the mall. On the second floor, the other big like sit-down restaurant was down the hallway across from Aladdin's Castle was Zippy's. And it was like a diner, like it had a counter.
Maybe that's the place.
It had a counter with like the stools built like fucking bolted to the ground, and it was like a burger joint. But Friendly's was on the first floor, Zippy's was on the second down the alcove, and in the corner by the movie theater, it was the Clarkstown Mini Trans, and it was one of the two bus lines. It was 50 cents for the mini bus and $1 for the big bus. God, I hate you. Fucking hate you.
You had before renovation, there was the Burger King, but then the food court replaced it.
But it was a big Burger King.
It was huge.
And it had a salad bar.
Like a Fixins, like a Roy's Fixins.
But it was a full salad bar.
Listen, so did you work in one of the stores in the mall? Did you work? What did you work?
I worked so I went to Italy in March of 1996, and when I left, I worked at NBO, which was across the street. Yeah. And the day I came back, my brother sat me down. He's like, "Hey, by the way, NBO closed," so I had to get a job, and I worked at Cooper's Watchworks, which was a watch store
in the middle.
It was in the middle. It was next to the Piercing Pagoda, and so I used to chat with all those.
Like one of these places there, yeah.
And they're the ones who taught me how to pierce ears, and that's how I pierced Dave Reinstein's ear.
That's not the only thing you.
That's where we're gonna leave that story. They also did my cartilage for me. Funny story. I bought a giant Italian boot with 3 jewels in it, an emerald, a diamond, and a ruby that my first girlfriend just found.
Wow.
Not too recently, and texted me and said, "Hey, I found this. Do you want it?" But it was big Italian boot. But yes, it was Cooper's Watchworks. It was on the first floor. Probably, if that is the goddamn Piercing Pagoda.
No, it's you know what? It's the gold and something, silver and gold something.
So this was on the first floor.
GNC is up there. GNC with the popcorn. Oh, it's upstairs, right on top.
This was on the first floor on the side.
Amazing.
That had the food court. So it was at the bottom of the escalator by the cookie company, by Ruby Tuesdays. But Ruby Tuesdays, was that the new wing? Yes. It was at the end of the new wing on the first floor. And what was the first anchor store in the new wing? Anybody remember that?
Boscov's, right?
No.
No, A&S.
A&S.
Right.
Abrams and Strauss.
Fun fact, A&S was my father's first or second job out of the Navy. But then A&S went out of business, and then it was Stearns.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was Stearns for years, and then it became Boscov's.
Goodness gracious. And that food court, when it opened, there was not much turnover. Like, the Roman Delight was there forever. The Chinese place was there forever. The Burger King, the Taco Bell. What was the Nathan's, the cookie place.
Never Roman Delight.
What's that?
Never Roman Delight. It was Villa Pizza.
Roman Delight. Sorry.
Roman Delight closed when they did the renovation. Roman Delight was down the upstairs east alcove by the barbershop.
I got something. Look at this shit. Look what I found.
That's Zippy's, yeah.
on fucking Zippy's. Look at that.
So
I love Google.
So there was 2 upstairs alcoves, Zippy's, and then Mario's Barbershop was down the other alcove.
Oh, did you say Mario's? Did you say Mario's Barbershop? Hold on.
Mario's Barbershop. The first chair was Neil's chair. Me and my father would get our hair cut by Neil. He was a zip with like the blown back hair. But
I remember you.
Asshole.
That shit.
That's Mario. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, childhood, youth. I mean, this is the stuff. This is all. What else was there? Where else did we go? Like my grandmother would take me to the mall. Like where else? Like nothing else to do. The bowling alley. Like where else did we go?
You could go across the street to Child World.
Well, until that was blown up.
And they had pickles. You know what was even?
So that literally caught fire.
That was lightning.
Yeah.
There was a freestanding restaurant in the.
He's not far off, Brian. By the way.
That's an offline conversation, Brian. Yeah. It's a family show. So there was a freestanding restaurant where over by where the Sears auto was, and it was Beefsteak Charlie's.
Oh shit!
And it was Danny Line, and Beefsteak Charlie's, which I'm now realizing as an adult when I look back at fucking ads for it, was like a shithole. I think, I don't know, but as a kid, I remember going there after like my first communion, and they would bring out a fucking ice cream trolley.
Oh my god!
When you'd order ice cream, and they bring out all the fucking toppings and make your sundae for you right then and there. I mean, this is like, you look at an ad for Beefsteak Charlie's, the place looks like a typical early 80s restaurant with the brass rails.
Brass rail? Did you say brass rail? Dan just woke up. He said brass rail.
Not that brass rail, you know. And Mush, your favorite place was across the street, Ground Round.
Oh, I know.
Over where
Matt, we know someone that used to be a chef there.
Who?
Someone we used to work for.
Oh no way.
Yeah, he was a chef there. Chef
at the Nanuet Diner.
No, the Ground Round in Nanuet.
Ground Round is actually where Nanuet Hyundai is.
Yeah,
the diner.
Oh my god! These Beefsteak Charlie's pictures are terrifying.
They are.
Who is this guy? It's mortifying.
What is Charlie? Put the picture up.
That's a child molester.
I know, but as a kid, you thought it was the greatest place because they brought you ice cream.
I bet you did think it was the greatest place. Hold on, fuck.
All right, can we wrap it up?
Yeah, hang on. Oh wait, this picture's not. Is it that? There we go.
Yeah, Beefsteak Charlie.
The fuck is that?
Wait till you get your hands on my ribs. Says it all.
I know the reminiscing part of our time together is always fun. So, Charles.
We'll do some research on Michigan later. Isn't that where the guy who blew up Oklahoma City's from?
Look, I put a picture of Beefsteak Charlie on the thing, and all of a sudden our viewer count, like all of a sudden tripled. Like, what the hell's going on? People are like, "Oh, that guy looks interesting," and they see our faces and they shut it off. Oh my god. Yeah. So no, unless you hacks want to do a show next week, I'll be traveling.
I'm on vacation.
Okay, take a week off. Seth might want to come back though.
I'm away. You got the Alabama this weekend. Enjoy it. You know, sports are back. You got MLS is now back.
Dan, you going anywhere fun?
What?
Dan, you going anywhere fun?
Now we're renting a house down on the Sound in Connecticut.
Oh, nice.
Down there.
Mystic? So. You gonna go to Mystic Pizza?
So I should solicit your opinions for pizza places right outside. We're gonna be right outside of New Haven.
Oh, New Haven Pizza! Just go on the fucking bar stool and go check out all this New Haven because apparently it's amazing.
It was so Frank Pepe's is the place, right?
Yes.
So we got another recommendation for a place called Sally's. You know Sally's?
Yep, he did that one.
Those are the two big ones, but I will tell you that there's a show on Netflix called Ugly Delicious, and they do a whole thing on pizza, and there's a place in Brooklyn that's supposed to be like the best pizzeria in America, and the guy like went to Naples, did all this research, and they bring him over to Frank Pepe, and like they kind of like show this guy bringing his pizza from Brooklyn and Frank Pepe, and it's supposedly like these are the two, Frank Pepe and this guy. I can't remember the name of this place in Brooklyn. I want to say it's in
probably the place I prevented Jason from going when I went to get Polish.
Like you can't get in there. It's like that popular.
Yeah, it's probably that place.
Like the guy only makes so much dough per day because he makes it by hand. Yeah. But Frank Pepe's is supposed to be the best margarita pie and a clam pie.
Clam pie. I'll pass that.
With white clam.
Good to know.
But
we're gonna go down there. We're gonna chill.
When we come back, you have to give us a review of the pizzas.
If we get some pizzas, we got we're going down with some other folks, and we're just gonna it's good for mental health for everyone to just get the fuck out of here for a while.
Pizza, beer, you can get some fresh lobster on the beach.
I don't the thing with lobster is that I got lobster in my backyard over here, right? I got the best lobster rolls right down the street here in Gloucester.
Go clamming.
Maybe. Yeah, we gotta put some tribes together. But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sit. So the house has a hot tub. I'm gonna sit in there. I'm gonna drink Natterdays. I'm gonna ignore my kids probably, and keep tabs on sports. And now the other good thing is that even from here, 2 hours down to New Haven is diving right into Yankees and Mets country.
Yeah.
So are you bringing the outdoor TV with you to the rental house?
No, that stays here.
Well, bring the iPad. Don't. No,
we'll
deprive yourself.
We'll stay current, but believe me, the Sadowskis need a break. So.
Well, enjoy it. Be safe and enjoy your time away. Matt, are you going anywhere?
The Sorianos will be going away next month. We are going to Santa Monica. Unfortunately, East Coast beaches, although I do prefer them, are much further from us. Whereas California,
the water is cold.
Yes.
Whereas California is just a quick 1 hour flight.
North Atlantic, East Pacific.
So we got a nice little motel on right on the beach in Santa Monica, and so we're going to be spending 6 days there. So yes, it's our 10th anniversary.
Happy anniversary!
Yes,
look at this. So
amazing. I mean,
whatever the fuck it is in Italian.
It's amazing you're still alive.
Here's to you, man. Good job. Well done.
So we'll see you all in 2 weeks as we move our headquarters of the Grand Central Sports Hub up north. So I'll see you from there. And this was a fun 2 hour show. It went by like nothing.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to bullshit about sports every now and again, right? With your friends, it's all right.
Sports, food, the Nanuet Mall. Whatever comes up.
I had to add my 2 cents to the Nanuet Mall. The wall was the spot to be. It's where you bought all your CDs back in the day and your singles. You put the sticker on the back just in case you broke it.
Wow.
So you could get a new one. No? Well, fuck you guys.
Before the days of Tower Records and everything.
I actually bought records in that mall.
Wow.
You're dating yourself, Matthew.
Enjoy the rest of your evenings. Everyone, thanks for watching. And we'll see you in 2 weeks on the Grand Central Sports Hub. Later.